Namaste, you're watching part 8 of book session on Autobiography of a Yogi. And friends, today's video will not only be interesting but also be full of wisdom as we will learn about Kriya Yoga. Yes, the ancient technique which was given by Lord Krishna to Arjun. And we will also learn about the law of miracles, about the life of Lahiri Mahasaya and the life of the most mystical and revered Guru, Mahavatar Babaji. And so let's start with knowing about Kriya Yoga. So Kriya comes from the word Kri, which means to do, to act, action that is, and Yoga means union. So Kriya Yoga is the union with the infinite through a certain action or Kriya. And in the literal sense, it is a set of breathing techniques by which the human blood is decarbonated and it is recharged with oxygen. And this extra oxygen, it helps to rejuvenate the brain and the spinal centers. And with this, friends, one is able to prevent or lessen the decay of tissues. And this delays the aging process, among other numerous benefits. And an advanced yogi who is practicing Kriya Yoga for a large number of years, he is able to utilize these atoms of extra oxygen and use them at will for performing what we call miracles, like materializing and dematerializing themselves, or materializing at two places at the same time, just like Swami Pranabananda did. And Swami Pranabananda, we know he was also known as the saint with two bodies. And as we know that Kriya Yoga is an ancient science that got lost in the dark ages or the Kali Yoga, but then it was Mahavatar Babaji who revived this practice in the 19th century by initiating Kriya Yoga to Lahiri Mahasaya, and from Lahiri Mahasaya it was passed over to Swami Sri Yukteswar, through Swami Yukteswar to Yogananda, and through Yogananda to all of us. And when one practices Kriya Yoga with deep concentration and devotion, then this facilitates the quietening of action of heart and lungs. We know that our heart, lungs and other internal organs, they work 24/7. They get no rest even when we are sleeping. But when we are practicing Kriya Yoga, friends, these internal organs, heart, our lungs, they also get rest. And friends, we all come from one source and we have to merge into that same source. We came in our purest form, and to merge back in the divine, we have to be again in our purest form. And this process, friends, may take thousands and thousands of years, and that is why we say that we are stuck in the process of life and death. This cyclic process also brings with itself pain and suffering that we constantly go through life after life, which may be in the form of disease, in the form of struggles and other kinds of problems. But Kriya Yoga, it helps us freeing us from this cycle. It helps us in giving us freedom from all the bondages that we may be carrying in our lives. We are already performing the yogic activity in night during our sleep. In our sleep, we are unaware of our breath, of our body, our emotions, our feelings, our problems. So although unconsciously, we are getting recharged with the cosmic energy that sustains this universe, but this energy that we obtain during sleep is only to the extent that it helps in facilitating us to perform our routine chores for our next day. But if we want to be free from our physical, mental and emotional problems in our life, if we want to neutralize our karma, if we want to get out of this cyclic process of life and death, if we want to speed our soul's evolution, then Kriya Yoga is an ancient scientific tool which has been endowed to us. In fact, Kriya Yoga is said to be an airplane route to the infinite, that is the fastest route to commune with the divine. And one can learn Kriya Yoga through various institutions that have been established by Paramhansa Yogananda, like Yogoda Satsang Society or the Self-Realization Fellowship. And they also do offer some home courses which one can easily learn while sitting at home. And friends, we now move forward with the book and learn other fascinating aspects. Yogananda, we know he was averse to the formal education system. He was not in favor of the rigid curriculum which encouraged rote learning and discouraged a holistic approach. He regarded that fact, moral and spiritual values were of utmost importance, and also that it was equally important to know the real meaning of happiness and what makes one really happy. So he established a school in Ranchi where moral values were taught in addition to yoga, meditation, and health and physical development. And the school was named as Yogoda Satsang Brahmacharya Vidyalaya. And in no time, the school, it became so popular that thousands yearned to be a part of it. One day, Yogananda's father, he came to visit Yogananda in his school, and we know that his father, he had offered Yogananda an eminent position in the Bengal Nagpur railways, and this job offer, it was refused by Yogananda, and this had hurt his father. But after seeing Yogananda happily engaged with hundreds of youngsters, he finally said that he has now reconciled with his choice in life. He was very happy to see Yogananda and realized that he truly belongs here. Friends, for every parent, it is difficult to accept the fact that his child will follow a yogic path and will remain away from the life of a normal householder, that is, he will never marry and will not have children. But Yogananda's father, he understood the deeper realities that children come through their parents and not from their parents, that each child has his own purpose to fulfill in accordance with the blueprint that the higher self has planned, and that as a parent, one should let go of the attachment that binds the child. So this was about Kriya Yoga, and next the book talks about the law of miracles. Friends, when we look around us, the nature, trees, flowers, the growth of baby in the womb, food being digested in the body, the functioning of the entire cosmos, they are nothing but miracles. But since we are so used to all of these things happening around us day in and day out, they don't appear to us as miracles anymore. And when we see unusual stuff like somebody hanging in the air or levitating or materializing objects or materializing and dematerializing their bodies at will, then we cannot help ourselves and ask the question that how do these saints or yogis perform such miracles? And now let us understand the law of miracles from a scientific point of view. The Vedic scriptures, they say that the physical world operates under one fundamental law of Maya or illusion. Only God is the sole life, only God is absolute. Everything is relative. That is, everything is viewed and understood from the point and perspective of who is observing. So if we say that someone is rich, then he is rich in comparison to others whom we as an observer are comparing with. And similar is the case when we say that someone is beautiful, obese, underweight, tall, short. This we all say when we are comparing them with others. And in this world, duality exists in every aspect of life. Day and night, war and peace, cold and hot, light and dark. Would we understand what happiness is had we not tasted sadness? So, Newton's law of motion is exactly the law of Maya, that is, to every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. And action and reaction therefore are always equal. To have a single force is impossible. It is not possible for only action to exist without an equal reaction. And science is thus bound by its law, and it cannot explain things that go beyond it. It is bound by the principle of duality, and thus it fails to go beyond and explains the existence of God, who is absolute. So to simply put, those who get entangled in the web of Maya or illusion and cannot rise above it will unfortunately have to cling to the cycle of birth and death. And this cyclic pattern, friends, when man experiences life after life for 1,000 human lives, then there comes a time when he gets tired of this cyclic monotony, and he then finds his hope, which exists beyond the compulsions of Maya. And when man starts removing this veil of Maya, which is ignorance or delusion, through knowledge, through going deeper in thyself, where one achieves a higher state of awareness, where one's ego or samskaras, that is the beliefs, they get dissolved and only consciousness remains, then one attains a state of samadhi, a state of complete peace and bliss. And only in that state, friends, one can free himself from the law of Maya, from the law of duality. I know, friends, this is a bit complicated, and I hope that I've done just a bit of justice in explaining this. But at the same time, it is very important for us to know this, because it is only the knowledge through which we can get ourselves out of this delusion, this Maya. And friends, this was about Kriya Yoga and the law of miracles, and now we move forward with our learnings. And as in the picture you can see, Yogananda's guru, he was Swami Shri Yukteswar, and his guru was Lahiri Mahasya, and his guru was the eternal and immortal Maha-Avatar Babaji. And let us know more on the life of Lahiri Mahasya. So we know that Yogananda's parents, they were disciples of Lahiri Mahasya, and we also know that in childhood Yogananda, he was cured of deadly Asiatic cholera only by the picture and the blessings of Lahiri Mahasya. And while Yogananda was still young, Lahiri Mahasya, he left his physical body. So Yogananda, he did not have this opportunity to spend physically time with Lahiri Mahasya, but now he had this opportunity to meet Lahiri Mahasya's wife Kashi Muni and learn some interesting facts on the life of Lahiri Mahasya. And Lahiri Mahasya's wife Kashi Muni, she recounted some very beautiful and interesting events, and she said that it was only a few years back that she had realized the divine nature of her husband. So she said that it was in a dream one night that she saw angels, they were floating above her, and when she woke up at once, and to her amazement, the room was actually filled with the dazzling light, and her husband Lahiri Mahasya, he was levitated in the center of the room surrounded by angels. And Kashi Muni, she thought that she was still dreaming, and Lahiri Mahasya, reading her thoughts, said that you are not dreaming. And it was then at that point, friends, that Kashi Muni, she truly comprehended the divine stature of her husband, and she said to her husband that from this night you are no longer my husband but my guru. And in this way, friends, she too became a disciple of the great guru Lahiri Mahasya. There have been numerous accounts of healings and miracles done by Lahiri Mahasya, and I will narrate a few of them. So one of them was related to a woman disciple of Lahiri Mahasya, and she was named Abhoya. And she had delivered 8 babies, and each time they died after birth. And she prayed to her guru to bless her, that her 9th child survives. And Lahiri Mahasya assured her that her next child will live, and she will be a girl who will be born at night. And Lahiri Mahasya, he said to Abhoya that she must light an oil lamp which must be kept burning until dawn. And Abhoya, obviously she gave birth to a daughter in the night, and an oil lamp was lit at night, but despite keeping a strict vigil, she fell asleep, and the oil in the lamp was almost gone. And just then, out of nowhere, the form of Lahiri Mahasya, it appeared, and Lahiri Mahasya asked her to immediately look after the oil lamp. And as soon as the oil lamp started burning brightly, again he vanished. And Abhoya's 9th child thus survived, only and only with the blessings of the divine Guru Lahiri Mahasya. And such was the grace, friends, such was the power and the glory of Lahiri Mahasya. A Guru knows it all. How devoted we are in our faith, how lovingly we follow his teachings is all that matters. And to mention that if one follows a spiritual path, it is not that his life will be free from any kind of struggles or challenges. No. But an invisible hand will always be there with him, guiding him, giving him the courage to get past his challenges. After all, what are we here for? What is the purpose of our lives? It is only to know thyself. And once we are on this path, friends, everything will unveil itself. Lahiri Mahasaya, he was a great saint and so were his friends. He had a friend named Trilanga Swami, whose age was known to be over 300 years. And not only it was his age that was astonishing, friends, but also his weight. Although he ate very little, he weighed more than 300 pounds, which is 136 kilos. And people had often seen him floating on the Ganges or sitting on top of the water or remaining hidden for long periods under the waves. Even consuming the deadliest poison would cause him absolutely no harm. Lahiri Mahasaya, friends, he said a very, very interesting thing. He said that after 50 years of his passing, an account of his life will be written in a book. And after exactly 50 years after Lahiri Mahasaya, he left his physical body in the year 1885. A book was written by Paramahansa Yogananda in 1945, which states in detail the life of Lahiri Mahasaya, and that is the book. What we are reading today is none other than Autobiography of a Yogi. So friends, a self-realized master, he knows precisely the past, present and the future events. Lahiri Mahasaya's life is a perfect example that to find God, one need not forsake his family or his worldly responsibilities. Lahiri Mahasaya, he had a wife and he had 5 children. He fulfilled his responsibilities as a householder and at the same time he attuned himself to the Lord. And so in this way, friends, Lahiri Mahasaya's life showcased that like him, we too can fulfill our worldly responsibilities and at the same time find God, know God, because that is the only purpose of our existence, friends. And now, friends, the time has come to learn about the most mystical and intriguing and supernatural figure in this book, the intriguing saint that drew the attention of millions of people. And thanks to Paramahansa Yogananda for stating about Babaji in this book. Had this not been a part of it, we would have been left oblivious to the existence of the greatest, most revered and mystical yogi of all times, Mahavatar Babaji. Friends, Babaji has been said to have retained his physical form for millenniums. Yes, people have seen this deathless guru in the Himalayas near Badrinath, and Babaji's age is said to be more than 3000 years, but he appears to be a youth not more than 25 years. It was Babaji who brought the lost practice of Kriya Yoga back in the 19th century by initiating his disciple Lahiri Mahasaya, Sant Kabir and Shankaracharya, and the same was later known to Christ, St. Paul and other disciples. Kriya Yoga was the revival of the same science that Lord Krishna gave to Arjuna millenniums ago. And friends, Babaji has never appeared publicly at any time. It has been the privilege of only a few who have witnessed the living presence of Babaji. He works silently for the slow evolutionary progress of mankind over centuries. Swami Pranabananda, Yogananda's Sanskrit teacher and a disciple of Lahiri Mahasaya, he narrated a few incidents of Babaji's life to Yogananda. So one night, few of the disciples of Babaji, they were sitting around a huge fire for the sacred Vedic ceremony, and Babaji all of a sudden he took a burning log and struck at the bare shoulder of one of his disciples. Lahiri Mahasaya, who was also present there, he remarked to Babaji how cruel this was. And Babaji then explained that according to his past karma, he was supposed to burn into ashes, but the karmic law has been satisfied through his light suffering by fire. And then Babaji placed his healing hand on the disciple's disfigured shoulder and healed him. And so on another occasion, friends, this incident is very, very interesting, as it will be an eye-opener for us. So a stranger, he approached Babaji's sacred circle where they were performing some sacred rituals on a high mountain cliff. And the stranger, he said to Babaji that he had been in search for him for a very, very long time. And he further said that if Babaji refused to accept him, then he would jump off the mountain cliff, as life holds no value to him if he cannot have Babaji's guidance. And then Babaji said to him to jump, stating that he cannot accept him as his disciple in his current state. And this man Without thinking anything, he jumped off the cliff. And Babaji then instructed his shocked disciples to bring his body, and just by placing his hand, the dead man was brought back to life. And Babaji lovingly told the stranger that now he is ready for discipleship, as he has courageously passed a difficult test. So friends, these two incidents, they clearly show us that each one has to pay our karma. We cannot escape from getting the results of our deeds. But practices like meditation, like Kriya Yoga, they greatly help in diminishing the results of our past bad actions when we meditate and when we burn the seeds of those past bad actions in the fire of meditation. So though in the first incident the disciple had in his past performed actions that resulted that in this life he is to be burnt into ashes, but because he had completely surrendered himself to the divine took away the harshness of his karma and he only suffered slightly. And in the second incident, Babaji accepted the stranger as his disciple only when the stranger was willing to give up everything. And here everything includes literally everything, that is his body, his life. As that was the time when he was free from any attachments, any desires, and thus a perfect time to merge into the divine consciousness. Friends, we often complain that God is not coming to us, He is not listening to us despite our unfavoring faith, despite our praying to Him or meditating on Him. And at that time, it's important not to lose heart, for He is watching every thought of ours and He's waiting for us to let go of our last desire, of that last attachment that we may be having. And the moment we drop them, we will experience His divine presence. And friends, Babaji also has a sister named Mataji who has also lived through the centuries, and she is also almost as far advanced spiritually as her brother Babaji. And friends, if you want to know more on the life of Babaji, his place of birth, early childhood, and who were Babaji's guru, then please watch this video, and I've also mentioned the link of this video in the description box. And now coming back to the book, we have some more enthralling events waiting for us. We know that Lahiri Mahasaya, he was a normal householder, he was married and he had 3 daughters and 2 sons, and he was working as a government accountant. Then what happened that made Lahiri Mahasaya turn from an ordinary householder to an extraordinary saint? And how did he meet Babaji? We will know all of these things in our next video. And now is the time for the cosmic chant, and today's cosmic chant is dedicated to all the gurus, Mahavatar Babaji, Lahiri Mahasaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar and Paramhansa Yogananda, who have all bestowed to us with their blessings and their divine presence. See you all in the next video. Namaste.